Speaker Tobin, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
How are things going with the campaign? Is the difference between you and Representative Kirkpatrick, your opponent, are those differences quite sharp?
Oh yeah, I think everyone's pretty sure they're quite sharp. I mean, at the end of the day, just the border security issues alone are there's a dynamic shift in that. The amount of time she's voted against border security votes versus no state in the country has fought for border security more than Arizona is clear. I mean, it's her campaign flies a Mexico flag in the parade in Eloy and forgets the American flag. I mean, that there's an awful lot of reasons that the psyche of how Congresswoman Kirkpatrick has voted and what she really believes versus me. So I think it's a dramatic change.
You have been saying that Congresswoman Kirkpatrick has been carrying President Obama's baggage. What do you mean by that?
Well, clearly we've got when you look at the Obamacare issue right from the get-go, and you can see that even after she voted in support of Obamacare, and then when they were trying to make changes, when the president said you can keep your plan, she said, yes, you can keep your plan. Then a bill comes up to say, hey, you can keep your plan, and she votes no. I mean, these are things that are when they come up and they say, okay, well, during the government shutdown, well, let's pass some CRs so that we'll be able to open the Grand Canyon if we do this, and she votes no. Well, other Democrat lawmakers in the state of Arizona voted with Republicans to open the Grand Canyon. You remember we closed down veterans memorials during that close down. Well, there were CRs to help keep those open. Well, other congressional Democrats, even in Arizona, voted with Republicans to keep those open. But Ann Kirkpatrick voted no. During the EPA crisis that's going on, the truth of the matter is that she votes with the president and she votes with Nancy Pelosi, and those are positions I'll never be on. When you're on the horizon, and they ask you, do you think cutting taxes help the economy? She said no. I say yes. So if you agree with that process, I suppose then that you have to vote with Ann Kirkpatrick, because if you're never going to cut taxes, the only way for them to go is up. And clearly, I would never have voted for what amounts to almost $1 trillion over 10 years in cutting Medicare. If I had done that as a Republican, the media would have gone crazy attacking me. So the Obamacare piece includes cutting the Medicare over 10 years, $1 trillion. So I don't know that you can be any more different than with Congresswoman Kirkpatrick and my record. So, our cuts to the military, I think most people believe that we're not as safe as we once were. Certainly, this president's policies as he's gone forward with international security has been abysmal. I haven't heard Congresswoman Kirkpatrick come out and attack that or say that's just wrong. Quite frankly, I support the president, at least starting on the attacks in Syria. I support that effort. I think Congress should go back and give them authority to do that as well. But I haven't heard that coming from Congresswoman Kirkpatrick either. So, she clearly, in my view, this is San Francisco trying to take over Congressional District 1. And I think she's completely lost touch with our voters and completely lost touch with the jobs and the economy here. And so I think it's night and day.
She has been hammering away at you that you and the leadership in the legislature cut education funding. What do you say to that?
Well, I think most people who were here during the crisis of our with the greatest recession, probably even worse than during the Great Depression here in Arizona, we were stuck with the problem of clearing up budget because we didn't even have payroll. So I explained to Congresswoman Kirkpatrick, I said, here in Arizona, we can't get money. And for someone like her to come back from Washington and now tell us after we averted a crisis what we should have done is absurd, considering the fact that she continues to raise this debt. It's gone from $10 trillion to $18 trillion almost while she's been in Congress. So somewhere along the line, this debt cycle will come to an end, and it puts our country at great risk, both national security and economically, puts us at great risk, and she doesn't pay any attention to it. So today, the University of Arizona has funding that Ethan Orr and myself work for to make sure that they get a shot at doing a veterinarian school, putting money back into community colleges, putting money in the joint technology districts for our local schools to help them, helping this charter school conversion. Those were all pieces that we worked together with, especially that helps down in Tucson. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. The Arizona School Board Association named me Legislator of the Year. The School Superintendents Association named me Legislator of the Year. The School for the Blind and Dyslexic named me Legislator of the Year. So while Ann Kirkpatrick wants to attack for that, the fact of the matter is people know how supportive I am of education. My daughter is in college now. She wants to be a math teacher in high school. So I have to answer to that conversation quite regularly. So, the truth is when you don't have money, what are you supposed to do? And here in Arizona, I voted, carried, and went out and worked to pass Proposition 100. And you remember what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sales tax. So Congresswoman Kirkpatrick is mad that I cut education and cut the entire state budget, quite frankly, cut the budget. And yet I'm out there as a Republican trying to pass Proposition 100, a 3-year, 1-cent sales tax. And Congresswoman Kirkpatrick opposes that. So she opposes me making budget cuts. Then she opposes me trying to raise revenue to keep the cuts lower. So it's just kind of an amazing. When you have a lot of money and you've been able to raise a lot of money, you can say whatever you want on TV.
Let's talk a little bit about what's called comprehensive immigration reform. What do you see as the ticket there?
Well, I think the answer at the end of the day is someone has to get serious and say that truly the border has got to be secured. And I think I mentioned in my opening comments to you, I think no one could argue across the country that Arizona hasn't done more for border security than any other state. Few people would ever be able to argue that, whether it be in court or the legislation we've passed or the fights we've had with this administration. Well, I've been at the table for 6 years as in leadership, 4 as speaker. I've been in the legislature for 8 years, so I've been right here. The law enforcement, almost across the board, law enforcement agencies around the state have endorsed me. And that includes the state border patrol union. That includes, by the way, just yesterday, first responders, which is our rural fire districts, which is our state fire chiefs association. They've all endorsed me. They all understand that there's a crisis at the border, and they're sitting here saying Tobin's been the one who's been down there. I went down to the border and met with the mayor, and Mayor Guarino had gotten me a walkthrough when those children were coming in from Honduras and from Central America. And when I got 45 minutes away, the secretary of it wasn't a secretary, I guess it was national security, called and didn't want me to go in that building. So, I have been on the cutting edge of being here and fighting for our border security, fighting now for national security because it's a national security issue. And Ann Kirkpatrick has voted no more times than I can count, even when she was here in the legislature. So I think that our differences are very clear. I suppose she has some variation of immigration reform, and I suppose she wants everybody to believe this is about, I'll close the border. But she's been at this for a long time, and she's done nothing. I've been at it a long time, and I've voted and passed bills and fought the war. And she's been AOL.
When you look at the district, you've got some really divergent interests, but is there something that really unifies District 1, do you think?
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of things that unify it. Tourism unifies it. I mean, it's incredible when folks. The size of the district is truly no burden for me. I love this district. It just takes time getting from place to place. But when you really think about this district, and you think, look at where we are. This is Canyon de Chelly. This is Meteor Crater. This is Petrified Forest. This is Painted Desert. This is, the White Mountains. This is come into cotton farming. Come into, these beautiful places in Marana and Maricopa and Casa Grande and Tucson, and look with the beauty. And by the way, I haven't even gotten into the Red Rocks. I haven't even gotten into Flagstaff. I haven't even mentioned the Grand Canyon or Williams. This is an incredible district. Tourism is huge here. Shutting down the Grand Canyon and keeping those parks closed was absurd. No one representing Congressional District 1 could ever have cast that vote. And you could never have cast a vote like that. I can't even imagine someone living in this district would have done that to our tourism industry.
All right.
So tourism is a big deal, but our highway money, our law enforcement, and our education system is a very big deal.
Gonna have to run.